Hello, one and all, and welcome back to the most popular Camry-related content on the internet. It's the Camry Podcast. Hello, everybody. The doctor is back once again. I took a couple of weeks off there. Had a lot of shit going on that I had to take care of. Everything got a bit heavy. I'm sure a few of you can relate to that. Sometimes you just need to take a break, take a step back, and just deal with stuff. So yeah, had some financial stuff going on, a lot of frustrations with the move, as I'm sure you've been following along. Still haven't moved. If the original plan had gone to work, we would have actually been in the new place for 2 weeks now, but we still haven't done it. It's just more the fact that we're having to do all the tidying, the renovating, the moving of everything ourselves. We're not in a position to hire anyone for something like that. So money's tight as it is. So we've kind of had to sacrifice a lot of time, a lot of our weekends. Two of us have been working full time, and then have to come and do that as well on the weekend. It's very frustrating. It's caused a lot of tension and strife. It's almost got to the point where I'm almost just over moving. I almost don't want to do it anymore. I'm just done. Just absolutely done. Like, I'm sure you could relate out there. At one point, no matter how much you like an activity or a project, it gets to a point where you're just like, sometimes the frustration just gets there where no matter how much you like it, no matter how much you want it, you're just like, no, I've had it. I don't care anymore. I'll probably care when it's done, but I don't care now. So that's unfortunately where I am right now. And it took a lot of motivation to come and say hi to everyone again after a couple of weeks. So, which sucks because the last time I had a podcast scheduled, which was 2 weeks back, I was due to show off the new wheels for my car, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a big deal for me. It was a personal little thing that I wanted to do. Stemmed from getting a flat tire. Funnily enough, what happened was I was ill for a couple of days, a couple of weeks back. Whilst going to the doctor, I picked up a screw somewhere and didn't realize it. I got out the car and I hear this hissing noise, and I'm like, is that a water thing? Is there a water hose or something missing? And then I get to the front of the car and realize the sound's getting louder, and I look down and the tire is kaput. Now, for those that don't know, sorry, I'm just cracking open a can of motivation here, as V says. That's good today. It's humid as fuck. I can tell you that now, it's humid as anything. So for those that aren't familiar with the Toyota Camrys, the older ones came with a 14-inch wheel from factory, as a lot of Japanese cars did. The problem is the 14-inch tires are actually very hard to get a hold of nowadays. When I went to the tire place to have a look at it, unfortunately the screw in the tire, it had done it in such a way that it wasn't a quick fix. It couldn't just be a tire repair thing. They were going to have to get a new tire, and it was going to take them a couple of weeks just to get a new set of tires, which I thought, damn, that's going to suck, you know. As someone who works across town, that was going to be a killer for me. So I was like, I can't do that. Let's look at some other options. And we sort of started talking about payment options and things while they were trying to source these tires, and we ended up figuring out a deal for a nice set of new 15-inch wheels, which are on there now. If you have a look at the little tiny video I did a couple of weeks ago explaining why this was delayed, I did put a brief video up of the new setup, which I'm happy with. From a very early on from getting cars, I always liked the black wheel with a chrome lip style trim. I did it with the old ED Falcon I had, and I fell in love with the look. I wanted to do it again, and I wanted to build a car with that. And the grey sort of colour that the Camry is, it goes with it. I am planning a few more subtle mods. One thing that Underground, if you ever played Need for Speed Underground 2, one thing the game told you was if your car isn't fast, it better look good. And that's kind of the philosophy I've taken. Let's be honest, it's a Toyota Camry. It's a gorgeous car. It's reliable. It runs well. It drives good. Takes me around. It's a nice car to just sit in and enjoy driving. But it's not that quick. You know, it's only a Camry. We all know that Camrys are dependable but not exciting. So I figured, you know what, let's just make it look like a nice car to cruise in, you know, low and slow, basically is the theme. So down the track, once I move somewhere where there's not as many hills for driveways and things, I'm probably going to get a set of lowering springs for it, just to give it a nicer look. Might go for a little bit of a boot spoiler and a rear roof little wing as well that hangs off the back, just to give it a low cruising sort of look. But we'll see where we're at down the track. I mean, for now, I'm happy with the car. It's a good car. As it is fine just as it is, and that's good enough for me. Just trying to think. Speaking of work as well, I've now been with the company 6 years, and I didn't originally have my 5-year with them last year because it was around the time that COVID, or Dat Boy, as some of the YouTube channels I've seen refer to it, because YouTube gets iffy when you mention the C word. It was around the time that all first started, and you know, understandably, with the amount of stuff we had going on with, you know, the illness itself, stock levels, working from home for a while, all that sort of, any anniversary stuff kind of got pushed aside because we just had that much going on, you know. And I made a joke about it. I kept joking about it, being like, "Oh, where's my pen? Where's my pen?" And it became a joke in the office. But this week I actually got a nice little congratulations from the boss. I actually got my little 5-year pen, so it was nice, you know. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's big or small. If you get recognized, people don't realize that. Like, people don't realize how big a deal it is just to be recognized, even if it's just a little thing, you know. Like, in terms of recognition, I actually had a good week in terms of that. I had three different customers that gave me a positive rap for things, and then there was my 5-year recognition as well. One of my colleagues also got her 15-year, which is crazy. I think I'm 32 this year, and I can say that this year I've finally been working as a whole for 15 years. But in saying that, only just, because my first ever job was right at the end of year 12, like after I finished year 12. It was like a holiday job at some supermarket thing. But I didn't start full-time work until 2007. So technically 15 years, but 15? Yeah. You kind of forget after a while, so yeah, there is that. Just trying to think what else has been going on. I hope you've all been well. I know things have been real up and down lately. A few people I've spoken to, they're also in the process of getting moving stuff organized, so that's pretty cool. And you know, everyone's been sort of dealing with their own stuff up and down, and I regret being there for you guys for it over the last couple of weeks. I know people will always tell you that, you know, you gotta look after yourself before you look after others, but I kind of feel a responsibility to some people. There are some people that I haven't spoken to for a while, and they understand that, but I still feel like I have a responsibility to make sure I constantly keep in contact with them, which can be difficult, particularly when you're dealing with your own stuff and then you're working full time as well. And I think the moving is a great example, because I am well aware that there is plenty that needs to be done, but at the same time my body's like, I need to rest. I need time for me to recover from things and sort through things. And that's really hard to balance. It's like when you are having free time, when you're resting and everything, all this stuff is going on in your back of your mind. It really is like sleeping in a fire. It's like you're getting what you want, you're getting rest, but then you're conscious that in the back of your mind there's a lot of other shit going on. Like any weekend we've had a delay, on one hand I'm like, oh cool, time for me, time to game, time to chill, sleep, rest, whatever. But at the same time I'm like, it's another week we've had to put off everything, which is just absolutely frustrating. And I'm sure anyone who's got a project like that would understand. So but hopefully we get it on track soon. And if you've got a project on, I hope your project also comes on track soon. Speaking of projects, one new series I want to start that I have spoken to a couple of people about is talking about the model kits that I do, and combining my love of historical stuff with it. Basically, I'd be doing like little 10 to 15 minute videos where I would show off whatever I had built. A lot of my builds are tanks, armored vehicles, aircraft, things like that. So the series would sort of focus around me doing that and showing off what I'd built, what I based it off, and then giving you sort of as you see it, just a bit of history on what it is, what the vehicle was, and where it served, all that sort of stuff. So I thought it'd be a good interactive way to show off the models that I build. I take a lot of pride in doing that. I started it almost as a homage to my late uncle, who was like a father figure for me. He used to build model kits a lot, and I don't know, I like to build military stuff, but I kind of got into it after he passed as a way to keep his legacy going, and I feel like I'm doing that. He was massively creative. He'd be very good at building the kit itself, but then he'd be great at building dioramas and add-ons and modifying them and personalizing them. So I've taken that on board from him, and thankfully I'm with a group of modelers on Facebook that are very open about what you do. Like, they're not rivet counters, they're not professionals per se. They're literally called mediocre modelers. So shout out to those guys. They've been a huge help, because they've taught me that we're all doing it. We're all building because we want to have fun. We want to build it our way. Some people like to only base things off of the real thing and modify it to make them happy. Other people want to be as 100% realistic as possible, and others want to just have some fun. Like one particular that I've been eyeing off that I haven't built but I've been thinking about is, I play a lot of Fallout from time to time. There's a lot of the game I still haven't finished, so I go back, I do all that, and playing a lot of the Brotherhood of Steel side of things, I've really wanted to try and build a diorama of them. Getting a pre-war tank or something and modifying it to suit a post-apocalyptic feel. Added bolt-on armor, battle damage, extra bits and pieces that they would add on post-war, and then painting up a bunch of little Brotherhood figures as well. I don't really know anyone that does power armor, but playing Fallout 76, I've come across the blue and grey military fatigues that they do in that, which got my attention and got my my imagination going. So I thought that'd be a cool thing to do. I do love building dioramas. It's a great way to personalize building things like that, and it's a good way to show them off. So yeah, I'm planning to start doing them over the next couple of weeks, whenever I find the time. As I said, most of my models are boxed up awaiting shipment when we move, but I've got a few around that I can still talk about and show you around, so we can get that series started at least, which will be good. So I'm hoping that happens. I'd love to sit there and say that all these exciting things have been happening in the 2 weeks since my last podcast, but it's not really been that way. It's really just been about recovery, recovering from a lot of things, and I think everyone's been feeling that. A few people close to me that I've been talking to, it's recovering from a new move, recovering from sickness, recovering from some sort of personal or financial loss. We've all just sort of been trying to consolidate what we've got and put it all together for future adventures. I know in my case that's particular as well. So Daft Punk also retired after how long? Some stupid amount. I remember growing up with them and never understanding who they were or what the music was. I would just get certain tracks stuck in my head, and then I got older. My brother introduced me to them. I really have to give a lot of credit to my older brother for a lot of the music I'm into. He really, growing up, a lot of my music was from video games, soundtracks from like Gran Turismo, Need for Speeds, all that sort of thing, and Burnout as well. But apart from that, he was my main influence. He got me into a lot of bands, and it's probably thanks to him that I have such a varied interest in bands. I'll have sort of slow classical stuff. I'll have rock. I'll have heavy metal. I'll have industrial, drum and bass, all that sort of. It really just depends on what mood I'm in. And he helped with that by basically giving me his entire CD collection when he went to Europe for a couple of years, and I just learned to pick up on it, I don't really like bands. I'm more of a song person. I'll hear a song that I like, but I won't really like anything else from that band, and I'm sure a lot of people are like that. But Daft Punk was one that I really got into. I liked their sound. I liked their feel. Their albums tended to come out around times in my life when I was out and about doing things, and as a result, obviously, they got played a lot when I was out in cars and things. So I look back on Daft Punk and I think of a lot of good things and a lot of good people. I spend a lot of good time listening to their music, and I spend a lot of good time listening with good people, and that's good. It's a bit weird that they've announced their retirement now. I mean, their last album was in 2013, so I procrastinate, but at least I wouldn't wait 8 years to make something new and then tell everyone, oh hey, I'm retiring, by the way. No, but good luck to them, and I can definitely see that their influence on a lot of other bands. If you're into the Daft Punk style of thing, I would probably also check out another French band by the name of Justice. It's spelt Justice, but as I have been corrected, it's Justice. Justice. No, it's Italian. They have a similar style, and I've liked a lot of their stuff too. I think it was actually my brother that got me on. No, it wasn't my brother that got me onto them. I actually heard one of their songs from Need for Speed Undercover, and then I looked them up from there. And then my brother found out that I was into them, and he's like, oh, well, you should listen to these guys as well, and all this other stuff. And I was like, mad, sort of thing. So, yeah. What else has been going on? Hey, how have you guys been? You been good? You keeping out of trouble? I hope so. There's just so many people. I spent so many years building up this fantastic net of friends and people that I have come to like and love as family and all this sort of thing. The problem is, I think they're a bit too big. There's just so many of you, and I mean that's the sort of problem you want. You want to have a support circle that big that you're like, oh my god, how do I keep up with all these people? But this partly the reason why I started doing these is because there's so many of you in so many different parts of the world, and it's so hard to keep up with all of you. So I wanted this as a means for you to just come back whenever you get a chance, And who knows, maybe I'll pick up some new people that haven't known me prior to doing this channel, and people that just want to sit, talk about things and see how life is, and just, meet a group of people that want to help out and do shit. And, if you're going to be coming from any of my other videos, once I get my military videos up, once I get my modeling videos up, I'm sure I'll attract a few other people that will start listening in on these potentially, which would be pretty cool, you know? So, yeah. Like, I think at the moment I'm in a comfortable position, but I'm aware that there's a lot of stuff bearing down, you know? Like, I really am sleeping in a fire, which is bad because I don't like heat. Over here in Australia, it's finally... summer's effed off. We're 2 weeks into autumn now. I like the cooler time of the year, when the sun starts to come down earlier, it gets cooler. You know, it's my mood just starts to lift in that time. It's my time of the year. It's the time that I love. And I'm hoping that, you know, by the time winter breaks, everyone's going to be in a good position. My goddaughter and her mother are moving closer soon, which is going to be great because I have so many things planned for them. I have, like, I know me and my partner eventually want to have kids and everything, but having my goddaughter to look after and try to protect, it's given me a lot of practice, you know, and she's adorable. She really is. Like, the only reason I haven't posted any photos or anything is just because out of respect for them. Her mother's a very shy lady. Brilliant lady, and one of the loveliest people you'll ever meet. She's just very shy. She doesn't like to publicly share photos and things. So, you know, I've just done that out of respect for them. But there's just so much stuff I am so excited to do with them. So many places I want to go, museums and things, and you know, I've got a fantastic old friend that I went to school with, and I actually went to school with her goddaughter's, my goddaughter's mother too, but I've got another friend who's also good friends with her, and the three of us we'll talk, and we'll hang out, we'll, you know, all this sort of thing, and we were already planning all these lovely little trips with my goddaughter and my partner as well, so, like, that's been something in the back of my mind that I've been looking forward to. My friend in the States, my old pen pal in the States, actually just had a kid as well. He wasn't feeling too good. Apparently they had to take him back to hospital for hypothermia or something like that. But from what she has said so far, he's getting better. She's cool. She's just one of those old pen pals that I think her mother and my mother were pen pals for a while. And then we got introduced as a result of that. And then years later, she found me on Facebook, and we occasionally just check in with each other to see how we're going, which is pretty cool. Which I suppose is what friends do. Like, you don't, as long as you just drop a line here and there to see how you're all going. But I know that there are a few old friends of mine that I haven't dropped a line in recently, and believe me, you guys are always on my mind. I just haven't had a chance to come and say hi to you. One of them in particular helped me last year when I moved my old car down to the Gold Coast, which is about an hour's drive from us, to donate it to a tank museum facility, which is going to actually run over it the next time they have an event on. And, you know, as a mark of respect for them, whether they can make it or not, they're going to be the first people I invite when they let me know how many people I can bring for the event, because, you know, they helped me get it there. Without them, we'd be high and dry. So it doesn't matter how long it is and you see someone, you know, if someone helps you with something, you never forget it, you know, and that's the important thing, you know. You have to remember what we do for each other, because when you don't see each other for a long time, that's what you remember, is the times that you looked out for each other, the times that you did stuff for each other, you know. There are people out there that once upon a time, I would see them every day. Every day we'd be in the car going places, driving around, cruising around. You know, like, we were sneaking food from dinners and things because, you know, we had no money. We just wanted to be out. We wanted to be free. We never wanted to come down. You know, we owned the road. We owned the night. And nowadays, we're lucky if we talk once a month, you know. But, you know, they've got their life. Actually, two of them are married. And two of them have their own houses. One of them's moved away. It's understandable. Like, it's what happens. But, you know, you remember the good times. And a lot of good times with people, you know. So, yeah. It's been a weird couple of weeks. It's hard not to be level with you guys. It's hard not to feel defeated by everything at the moment. We've had a lot of setbacks with a lot of stuff. Work I have been really struggling with because of everything else, which sucks. Because this is the longest job I've ever held, and I take it very seriously. I love what I've built, and I love the people I've built it with. The team I have now are probably the best people I've ever worked with in that place. They've really turned things around. One of them has moved up into a manager role with us, and we're still adjusting to that. And I think that's it. This year for me has been a massive adjustment, because this is one of those times where I'm going to be level with you guys, with the Ryan Mattel family. Growing up, as I've mentioned before, I was very suicidal. I was very depressed. I was very self-destructive, I should say. I had so many crushes on girls. I was a lonely, bully little child, so I tended to get a crush on the first girl that would pay any attention to me. You know, even if they just gave me the time of day or something, which I hated because I was so scared I would chase them away, you know. And then I had a serious crush. I had a serious childhood crush in year 9 that I never did anything about because I didn't have the ball. I had no experience. I didn't know what to do with it, you know. But at the same time, me personally, I didn't give a fuck about myself. I was out doing stupid stunts to try and be one of the gang. Not like an actual gang, just the gang at school. I was out doing stupid things. I was out just causing trouble because I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck about myself, you know. I was a typical teenage kid, you know. You think to impress a girl, you do something stupid and dangerous, and all of a sudden they'll like you, and you're like, woo, it worked. Spoiler alert, that doesn't work. It's even worse these days because luckily back then we didn't have a lot of social media. So, you know, we weren't constantly being video going, look at what this dickhead did, you know. That's one thing you have to realize. Anything stupid you do on your phone is going to come back to haunt you because the internet's going to last a lot longer than any of us. And all it's going to take is a quick Google search and they're going to find it. So if you don't want it to be held against you, probably don't film it. Just FYI. But going back to my thing, part of being so depressed and self-destructive was that a lot of me didn't think I would live to be where I am. You know, a lot of me thought my teenage years were it. I wasn't going to live further than that, you know. I wasn't going to live to do everything, you know. I got older watching my parents and their generation, and I thought, why do I want to grow up to that? Why would I want that? You know? And I don't know, I felt that way, and then just before a couple of months before I turned 21, my mother passed away. And I think the pain, the self-destructiveness got put on hold because I just understandably had something else to cope with. This was huge, something I could never have budgeted for or thought of. It was Operation Unthinkable, you know. And I tried to fill the hole that she left with other people. And again, I put all my effort and work into a particular crush that I had at the time, thinking that I thought if I could make a future there, maybe I'd feel better. And then that fell apart, and I went on a self-destructive spiral from there. Very much so. But the thing I've realized as I've got to this age, I'm in my 30s now, which it still feels weird to say because a lot of me never thought that I would be here. A lot of me never planned on being here. It's kind of the SpongeBob meme, as funny as it sounds, of the little plankton guy where he's like, I don't know what to do now. I didn't think I'd get this far. And I think that's the transition that my mind is having at the moment. It's the fact that the self-destructive black dog is still there, but he's realizing that yes, my depression is still there and everything, but I actually have a future. And I actually have things to plan for now, like houses, kids, a good friend network. I have my goddaughter that was relying on me to be a good father figure for her, to show her and any other kids in my life, what to do. And that's the thing, up here, I was still that young, self-destructive kid. And I didn't realise it. My behaviour has been very reckless and stupid. And I need to stop that, Because you don't realise how far along you get. And then one day you wake up and you realise where you're at. And you're like, I never expected to be here, But then again, if you had gone back to my teenage self, back when I was in love with girls and daydreaming about owning a Cowsonic Skyline R34, if I had gone back to myself, well, I suppose half a lifetime ago when I was like 15, 16, if I was to be like, hey dude, guess what? The good news is, when you get older, at this point, you be with your partner for 7 years. On the other hand, you're also driving a Toyota Camry and you're still living at home with your father. To which I would reply, well, where's mum? Oh, she's dead, by the way. Oh, cool. That's a bag of rats I didn't need to deal with. Yeah. On the plus side, you've got a fairly decent career in the automotive industry and you've been there for a few years. Oh, cool. People always talk about going back and telling them their younger selves what to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't know what to tell them. That kid was blissfully unaware of a lot of things. And I think I would have preferred to keep it that way. There are some things I would have told him about, like depression. When I first got depression, I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know what it was about. And a lot of people back then didn't. I think we were kind of the last generation where mental health wasn't a big thing in school and it was hard to understand. So we didn't quite get as much help as people do now. It's great that kids do now. Don't get me wrong. It's great that they do, It's fantastic to see people get what they need. But I'm just saying, back then, we didn't really have that. There was still a stigma there. So to go back and actually tell my younger self, hey, dude, you've got depression. Here's what it is. Here's what it makes you feel. This is what's causing it. I could at least come up with some strategies and I may have been able to do things differently, but it took me a long time to find my feet. And just as I was finding my feet, I had a setback with mum dying and then I had to find my feet all over again. So yeah, I'm going through a transition period of realizing that, hey, I'm here for life. I need to start making choices in that regard. So it's a heavy time, but it's a good time because if we can get through it, it'll be good, I'll make sure we throw a nice big housewarming for all of you. So yeah, just don't mind the snakes. Apparently we have snakes at our new house. I actually met one of them today. He was adorable. I wish I had my phone on me at the time. Future mother-in-law and my partner are sitting there freaking going, there's a snake up the back, and I go up the back. And poking over the neighbour's fence is this tiny, tiny little green neck and head with eyes. I actually thought it was a plant stem at first. This adorable little fucking green tree snake. Just poking its head up, looking around. I come up to look at it, and it's just slowly, there was a gap in the fence. The fence, I've just forgotten the word. The fence panels. There was a gap between them. And he just sort of looked at me for a couple of seconds and then just went down in there. And he was so small. It was so small and tiny. It was like a little twig. It was as thick as a twig sort of thing. And I come back and I'm like, yeah, there was a snake, but why the fuck were you freaking out? That thing was adorable. Seriously though, Australia is full of pissed off snakes a lot of the time, and they will fuck your shit up. Don't be friendly with them. Just assume they're not. Don't go killing them. Like, don't just kill them because they're annoying you. They're just an animal living like themselves. Snakes will only normally attack you if they feel threatened anyway, unless they're a taipan. Those guys are assholes. They're like, it must be something about far north Queensland because they come from the same area that cassowaries live, and cassowaries are assholes too. Like, there must be something in the weather up there. Crocs, taipans, fucking cassowaries. Yeah. I mean, I can't talk. I was jokingly talking about invading Uruguay the other day with a force of kangaroos. Turns out there's about 48 million kangaroos in Australia. And the population of Uruguay is apparently about 3.5 million. So that means if I was to invade Uruguay with a group of kangaroos, I think on average, each person in Uruguay would have to fight 14 kangaroos. They're fucked. Although I suppose you could use that ratio for any country, really. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there today. It felt good to come back, guys. It felt good to say hi again. It took a lot. It took an absolute massive amount of energy to come up and do another podcast. But once I got going, it was good. It was good to talk things over with you guys. I know it's not a live chat. I know that, we can't respond in real time, but I do hope all of you are going well, and I do hope all of you are staying safe. The world's in a weird place at the moment. There's all sorts of weird things going on. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and a lot of in between, a lot of grey. And it's just a patch of fog that we just have to navigate through at the moment. So remember to do it all together. Stick together, be your best, never be afraid to reach out and say anything if you need anything, because at the end of the day, I do this for you guys, and the response that I get from you is what motivates me to push on and do it, and this podcast has given me a lot of motivation for that, I think we got the right brand of energy drink today, because the V's actually say, you got this. And that's right, you do. We all are going to have our bad days and good days. The trick is you just have to make your bad days better than everyone else's bad days. So stay safe, take care. I will hopefully catch up with you again next weekend. And in the meantime, hopefully there will be an episode of my modeling stuff as well. So until next time, friends, this is the Doctor signing off.